Nachos is one of the best sharing dishes out there, in my personal opinion. And when it's made right, you can get a perfect bite on every chip. Let me show you how to make it. First thing I want to do is tackle the part that's going to take the longest, which is marinating the steak. The first thing I'm going to do is add 1/4 of a large onion that has been roughly chopped into this container here, or you can use 1/2 of a medium onion or one whole small onion. And then to that, I'm going to add in 3 cloves of garlic and some lime juice and some orange juice. All the measurements will be in the description box, by the way. And then a teaspoon of mushroom powder and as much pepper as you would like. And then a big pinch of salt. And then with the stick blender, I'm going to go ahead and blend this up till it's nice and blended together. But wait, I think I'm actually forgetting some ingredients, so let's go back to the ingredients for a bit. Okay, so chop up the stems of 6 to 7 sprigs of cilantro, save the leaves for later, and add that to the blending container. And also to that, I'm going to add in some ground cumin. And now I blend until smooth. Once it is smooth, let's address this steak situation. I am using 2 steaks cut from a tri-tip, but you can use any steaks you want. Skirt steaks are great here as well. Now I'm putting these 2 steaks in a Ziploc bag. That's how I like to marinate my meat. And speaking of marinating, I'm going to dump my marinade into this bag as well. And all I'm going to do is zip it up and massage it around, make sure that the marinating is coating every part of the meat. And once I do that, I'm going to marinate this for at least 1 hour, but best would be overnight. So while we're waiting for the steak to marinate, let's talk about toppings. The first one I'm doing here are pickled onions. They are great for nachos because they add a bit of the tangy and the onioniness. So all I'm doing is finely slicing my red onions. And once I have those sliced up, I'm putting it into a quart-sized deli cup. And I'm just going to put it in and kind of mush it down to get it all fit. Now to make the pickled part of pickled onions, I got to make the pickling liquid. So to a small saucepan, I'm adding in equal parts rice vinegar and water. And then to that, I'm adding in my sugar, and I'm looking for a balance between the sourness and the sweetness. And of course, if you want pickles that are more sour, add less sugar, and if you want them sweeter, add more sugar. And then of course, I'm going to add in a big pinch of salt to this. And then now just cook this on about medium heat and keep stirring until everything has been dissolved and the liquid gets hot. And then once it's dissolved, bring it back to your onions and just pour it straight into the container. And yes, you do want to pour this liquid while it's still hot so that the onions can pickle quickly. And then now just push it down and make sure that there's no onion on top of the liquid. You want to make sure everything is submerged so that everything will get evenly pickled. But once you get there, put a lid on it and just set it aside until we use it later. Now take the cilantro leaves from earlier, and all I'm doing here is roughly chopping it. This will be the final garnish on the nachos later when we're done. So I'm using 2 cheeses here. The first one is a full fat, low moisture mozzarella, and I'm shredding it myself. I'm going to shred about a cup's worth, maybe a little bit more. And the second cheese I'm using is a sharp cheddar cheese. Again, I'm grating it myself. Try to avoid the pre-shredded ones because it has anti-caking agents that turn the cheese into a weird texture after it cools down. So this is why I shred my own cheese. And again, I'm just looking for about a cup, maybe a little bit more than a cup's worth of cheddar cheese. Now this is totally optional, but I like the creaminess that avocados give. So I'm going to cut half an avocado into cubes, and I'm just doing that by slicing it into slices essentially, then turning it 90 degrees and then cutting it the opposite direction into cubes. If you prefer to dollop your sour cream, you don't have to do what I'm doing here. But for me, I'm gonna add in a drizzle of water and stirring this, and keep adding water until it reaches a drizzling consistency, something a little like this. Now add it slowly because you don't want this to be too liquidy, but if you prefer dolloping your sour cream, then just skip this step overall. So I only marinated my steak for about 2 hours because that's all I had time for, but try to leave it marinating overnight to yield the best result. Anyways, I'm gonna evacuate the steaks out of the Ziploc bag onto a tray with a napkin or a paper towel, and I'm gonna place another paper towel on it and just dry the marinade off. You don't want any wetness on the steak because you will not get a good sear if you do. But once you dried it off, let's take it to the pan. So I have a stainless steel pan heated on a medium-high heat with some high smoke point oil. And just when it's about to smoke, go ahead and throw in your steaks. The cooking procedure for these steaks are very similar to my steak video. I'm going to flip my steaks every 30 seconds until I reach an internal temperature of 130 degrees, which is about medium rare. Cook yours to a higher temperature if you want it to be more done. I flipped mine on each side for about 4 times. And the steak's gonna look darker than normal because of all the sugars in the marinade, so this is actually not burnt. But when it looks like this, go ahead and take it out and let it rest for about 5 minutes. Once the steak has rested for about 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and cut it into cubes. And the reason why I'm cutting it into cubes is because it's going to allow more even distribution of meat, and I'm going to be able to have meaty bites at the same time. And then let's take some time to appreciate the perfect doneness on this steak. It is perfectly cooked, just how I like it. Anyways, I'm turning the steak into cubes by first cutting it into slices and then taking each of those slices and cutting it down into the cubes. My cubes are about ½ an inch thick, but again, cut it to how you like it. Now it is time for the assembly. So to avoid having chips that have no toppings on them, I'm going to go with this layering method. I'm going to start with a bed of tortilla chips. Go with whatever brand you like, preferably unsalted because there's enough salt in everything else already. After that, I'm going to sprinkle on a 1/3 cup of my mozzarella cheese and then the 1/3 cup of my cheddar cheese. And then I'm going to go on with my meat cubes and then my pickled onions. And I'm going to repeat this with another bed of tortilla chips, some more mozzarella, some more cheddar, some more steak, some more pickled onions, and then I'm going to continue this until I run out of ingredients or until it looks like this. And then I'm going to bake it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 to 10 minutes, broiling it for the last few minutes so that it gets nice and brown. About 10 minutes after, it should look something like this. And then go on with the rest of the toppings. So some more pickled onions. And then the avocados go on now. And then sprinkle on the cilantro. And then drizzle the sour cream on top. And then when you have something that looks a little like this, it is time for the taste test. Now that is a good looking dish of nachos right here. It looks and smells so good. So let's just get right into it and try this, okay? But there's one thing I should say. Nachos is notoriously known for not being able to get a good bite sometimes. But, you know, if you cooked it the way I showed you with the layering, theoretically, you should be able to get a perfect bite on every chip. So let's try that. I'm gonna go for it. All right, let me put this down real quick. All right, here's a good bite right here. Come on, focus. There you go. All right, cheers, everybody. Oh, now that's what you call a perfect chip. It had everything on there from the beef, the pickled onions, the avocados, the crema, everything. So the beef, of course, it's going to be good. It's perfectly cooked, perfectly seasoned. So it's very meaty and very beefy. And then you have the avocado, which gives it a very nice creaminess. Also, that sour cream as well gives it a little more of a refreshing creaminess, if you know what I mean. And then that pickled onion just cuts through everything. And then, of course, the cheese there gives it cheesiness, fattiness. and then the crunch is just perfect. So if you like this video, hit that like button below. For more videos like this, hit the subscribe button or that one right there. And for my previous video, hit that one right there. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.